I design posters and campaigns for brands. I do art direction. So I've worked with Nike, Google, Apple, Adobe, the Oscars, which is my favorite.
No big deal. I don't know if you've heard of these brands.
My wife does photography and art direction for brands.
I don't know if you're allowed to say this. White Rolls Royce just popped up. Are you allowed to say who it was?
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes came to the studio.
And I was like, Patrick Mahomes came to Oak Cliff?
Yeah, he did. And it really was all God. What I'm doing has opened so many doors that, now I can go to like different events and still speak about how God is the hero, not me.
What would be your advice? Any young person wanting to get into business, what's the number one thing you tell them?
Yeah, so my mentor told me something that stuck with me and probably will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Welcome to the Faith Hustle Podcast, where we help young Christian entrepreneurs learn how to build their business and careers God's way. My name is Makwenda. I'm your host. I've been an entrepreneur for almost 10 years, and in that time, I've been mentored and guided by some of the most successful business owners that were not just crushing it in business, but in their personal life, in their families, in their relationship with God. They had a holistic view of success, and that was attractive to me. That's what I wanted for my life, and that's what we aspire to here at Faith Hustle. We teach on 5 pillars at Faith Hustle every episode. We teach on being spirit-led, having a heart of stewardship, integrity, humility, and generosity. Those are the 5 things that we believe makes up someone that has a faith hustle. And that describes you. That describes something that you're also chasing after pursuing. We want to encourage you to subscribe to the podcast, whether it's audio on Spotify or Apple or YouTube. If you're watching this, we would encourage you to join the journey with us as we grow together. And if you've been listening for a little while, give us a review. It helps us tremendously to get the word out to more people so we can help more people in their faith hustle. Thank you so much for your support. If you notice, I got a little swag jacket. There's a reason for it. I have a guy here. I've actually been following him probably for well over a year now. And he's literally one of the dopest designers that I know. I'm literally just humbled that he said yes to being here, and just his creativity, his heart for the Lord, his heart for family. But just one of the things that you'll know about him from the jump, he does not stay in one box. And that's a lot of the conversation we're going to talk about today. I got my brother, Temi. Temi.
Temi, like Jamie?
Like Jamie, Temi.
Yes.
Temi. I got it. Okay. Man, so great for you to be here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, I've been pumped that when you said yes, I was texting my team, let's go. And I was like, man, and so this jacket, we're going to get into a lot of his story. He designed this and this is pre-ordering right now.
Yes, pre-order right now.
Hopefully by the time it comes out, it's still a pre-order that you can get. But man, this is, when I first wore this at Shoreline, I got stopped so many times. They're like, hold on. You got to tell me where you got this. And I'm like, I know a guy. But man, so grateful for you being here, man.
Thank you for supporting me and purchasing the jacket.
Oh, had to, man. And for me, if I know, we were talking about this off camera, if I know the heart behind something, if I know the designer, and when you see a process done, it just elevates the value of what you're getting. Yeah, this is quality. Like, this is not just like a little, and no offense to like the Jesus t-shirts. It's not just like slapping a little thing on there. It's like, no, this is like very intentionally designed. Everything's been thought out. And man, thank you for being here, man.
I appreciate it.
Man, so okay, I want to jump right into it. You call yourself, so on your Instagram bio, you call yourself a multi-disciplinary artist.
Yes.
I think that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Of a way to like describe it, but what does that mean to you? Like, if you're telling somebody what a multidisciplinary artist, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I honestly, when I came up with that title, it was very freeing for me because I love graphic design.
Yeah.
But there's so many facets in graphic design. There are the people that do logos, the people that do typography. There are people that are illustrators.
Yeah.
There are people that focus on printing. And so I was like trying to figure out where I fit in, because my style is a mix of photography and design. And so I didn't want to call myself an illustrator, because I feel like I would be downplaying the people who are really, really illustrators. And then also me being also a musician, I've been playing since I was 9. I play keys, and I love that. And then I also went to school and studied photography and graphic design. And so multidisciplinary allowed me to just have like a title that people have to like come to me with the open mind, right? And not just like, because I can do graphic design, but I can also take the pictures. I can also play a track if you want me to. I can also help with art direction and things like that. So multidisciplinary artist, I really love that title, because it just does not put me in a box and allows me to really explore my creativity in whatever way that looks like.
Yeah. And I've seen that like on your account of like, it is a mix of, you'll take a photo and you're doing it's I mean, obviously it's not the same, but it reminds me a lot of Temi Coker, if you're familiar with his work. I love his work.
He's so good.
He's an artist that happened to like pick up photography. And when I saw his I'm Possible video, and I'm seeing how he's mixing like all this art behind the photos he's taking, I'm like, Mixed media. How does your brain think like this? It's stunning, and it pushes the limits and the boundaries. And I do think it's cool when you can mix two things that don't necessarily mix.
Right.
And I think I guess where did that? I know you said you had different inspiration, but where did that start? Like, did you started in graphic design, then pick up photography, and you were like, I guess, where did that all start? Yeah,
it really started with music. When I started playing keys, I mean, I was probably like 8 or 9, and my dad got us a piano teacher. And so I don't like to talk too much, so music was a way of expressing myself. And when I found a way to express myself, it really made me want to explore that more. And so when we left Nigeria to Canada in 2003, and then from Canada to Texas in 2004, there was a lot of changes going on, right? But the constant was music. Every church my dad started, I was always playing there. And I remember when it was time for me to go to college, I wanted to study music, but my dad was like, "We didn't come from Nigeria to America for you to go and study music." You know what I'm saying? Like, I can hear you can hear it, right?
100%,
And looking back, like, I understand, and that was all they knew. Right. Doctor, lawyer, nurse, accountant, engineer. That's it. Nothing else. Don't deviate from that path.
Exactly.
So I ended up going to college to study biomedical engineering. And I hated it. My first year, I was like, I'm doing this for other people. And so I decided to switch my major, because I remember sitting on the floor in my room and crying out to God. I was just like, I know you're calling me to creativity, but I'm scared, and I'm going to disappoint people. And like, who's going to take care of me? And I remember vividly hearing God just comfort me in that moment. And I had this feeling of like, God is going to take care of me.
Wow.
And I knew he would. And I felt this like encouragement in that moment to pursue it. So I did. But, my dad being a pastor, a bunch of other pastors were calling me and telling me it wasn't God's will for me to switch my major.
Oh, man.
I remember that so vividly, but I knew what God was calling me to, and I was obedient. And, and so I switched my major to digital media. And so people were telling me still I had to pick one, because digital media had photography, graphic design, printing, web design, all of those different things. But I was really drawn to photography because I saw the power in capturing an image and just like being able to revisit that moment later on. Almost like immortalizing a person or a moment. And so that was my approach to photography. I started taking pictures of my friends in college. And then they were like, "Hey, I'm graduating. Can you take my graduation pictures?" Then some of them were like, "Hey, my uncle is getting married. Can you take his wedding pictures?" And so I got into the wedding industry, the portrait industry, and then I also started doing a bunch of designs like for college graduations, weddings, birthday parties, things like that.
Yeah.
But people telling me I couldn't do both, I listened to them for so many years until 2016. I graduated 2014, but 2 years later, 2016, when I was a high school teacher,
Oh, you're a high school teacher?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
2015 to 2018, I went back to my old high school to teach kids photography and design.
Wow.
Because I wanted them to be able to see that it is possible to have this as a career.
Right.
Because in the past, you couldn't.
Yeah.
And in the past, I really didn't see people that looked like me in this field.
Yeah.
And so being able to go back to the kids and talk to them, talk to the parents, and let them know like it's possible to have a career in creativity. That was awesome. And so in 2016, I decided to merge photography and graphic design together. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to my friend Magdiel Lopez. We used to work together at a church back in 2014. And I was like, hey, man, I want to get better in Photoshop and make posters, because he started doing it as well.
Got it.
And so that's how I got into it.
Have you been listening to this podcast and thinking to yourself, man, I want to start a faith podcast too? Well, guess what? You can. It's never been easier than ever to start a show and to get it out to the masses to make an impact for God's kingdom. But it's also never been harder. 90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3, not because there's a lack of good ideas. There is a lack of good foundation of what makes a great show. Making a great show is actually an art. It's actually a skill. But good news is, it's a skill that you can learn. That's why I put together a free resource for you that explains the 5 things every podcast needs to make it a great show. It's a quick read, but it will be the difference of your podcast going the distance and making an impact. Now more than ever, do we need more faith-based podcasts that enter into the space to be a light into the darkness. And I believe this resource can be your first step. All you got to do is hit the link in the description below and I'll send it to you for free. Now let's get back to the episode. Wow. Man, what a story, man. And just like, I get it. As far like, I didn't pick up video until I was, probably like 19. And yeah, it just wasn't around. I think in so many ways you're like, it's hard to see how this can become a lifestyle, a career. Yes. If it's not around you. Yep. And I do think culturally, especially in the African community, it is, and I get it. Our parents immigrated here. They worked really hard for us, but thankfully I did have the support of my dad. Yeah. But there was definitely a moment when I started my business, it was like, are you sure about this? Because I stopped school and I just went full time. Wow. In the business. But I just felt it with everything in me. Like, I have to try. I have to give it a shot. Yeah. And I think I personally believe, because you are a creative, you are an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. Like, you are a business owner. I think there's something in every person who does step out a little screw loose. Mm-hmm. And I had a guy on here, Brady Sheary, great guy. His definition of entrepreneurship was the best I ever heard. He said it is calculated delusion. Wow. And I was like, that is brilliant. Because that's how it feels like. It's calculated because it's not like unheard of artists to make money, to build a career, to, all these different things. But there's delusion of like, if you can do it. Yeah. But there's that faith of like, okay, I'm a leap. I'm a go. I think that's so awesome that you early on you just took that step. Yeah, I've always known that in the future I wanted to work for myself. I just never knew when. Yeah. But I was just being faithful with the gift God has given me and following the path that, He was leading me to. If I didn't get like the residency through Adobe, I don't think I would have. I think I would still be teaching by now. Yeah. And so talk on that. Okay, so you got a residency through Adobe. Mm-hmm. So 2015 to 2018, I was a high school teacher and I taught photography and design. And in 2018, Adobe, I applied for the Adobe Creative Residency, which was a residency they were doing at the time where for a whole year, you don't have to worry about, finding clients and all of that. You're on salary. Oh, wow.
and you create the type of work you want to be hired for. But you have to pitch an idea to them to tell them what you're going to be working on for that year.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay. I wasn't really confident in mixing photography and design. So I told them like, hey, I think my pitch was like, I want to make presets based on different countries and different ethnicities. So I want to visit people because I was very passionate about like making sure that black skin looked great on camera. And you know, there's the whole history with Kodak film, and how in the past they when black people were in the frame, their color didn't do well. And the only reason that Kodak kind of like changed their formula in their films was because someone complained and said, hey, I'm taking a picture of my wood and I'm not getting the right color.
Really?
Yeah, you should do it.
That's the only reason.
Yes, you should research it. It was really interesting. I found that out as I was teaching kids about photography, because we took a course. We took a month talking about editing skin color. Yeah. And so I had white kids, Asian, black, Hispanic, and I had all of them edit each other's skin color and make presets based off of that. So I pitched that to Adobe, and Adobe was like, hey, we've been on your website. We see that you're doing this poster a day thing. You're mixing photography and design. Can you repitch your idea to us? You have 2 days.
So you had 2 days?
Yeah.
So you did a poster in a day?
Yeah, I was doing
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just like a challenge you wanted to do?
It was
yourself?
A challenge to figure out how to merge photography and design together.
Wow.
And it was a risk, because on my Instagram, I was known for wedding photography, portrait photography, lifestyle, all of these type of things. And then one day I posted a poster that didn't have a picture on it.
Yeah.
You know, and people were like, what is this? And then, of course, I started posting every day, and I lost followers because people were like, what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
And then it also messed up my feed. You know, I was very curated on how my portraits looked and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you look on my website, it's still there. I still have my posters, because I really believe in like keeping the proof of the journey.
Yeah.
Because I want people to look and see where I started and see where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Versus just seeing where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm like that's powerful. I had a buddy of mine, Derek Ortiz, he was sitting here with me not too long ago, and he did a similar challenge. It was 30 days, and he was making a video a day, talking about design, talking about fonts and all this different stuff. And he saw his account grow, but it got momentum. There's something to be said of like a commitment of, I'm going to do something every day, either to get better at it, or in this, it actually increase your exposure to an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I really believe in being 1% better every day. Like, I think social media tries to force you to be like 50% better every day, and that's almost impossible.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I did, 3 tasks today. What if tomorrow I do 3.5? Or I do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or I do 4 tasks, and you just, because if you think about it, 1% getting better 1% every day. I mean, if you do it for a whole year, you're like 360, 64, 63% better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I see it. Of like, you look at the day before and you're like, how can I get better? Now, I'm not a person that pushes like no rest. I think rest is very important.
Absolutely.
I think without rest, you're not going to be able to grow. You're going to be burnt out.
100%.
So I believe even in resting, you're still getting 1% better, because now you're understanding your rhythm and understanding how important rest is. So yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so back to it. So you're doing this challenge. They saw it and they're like, hey, can you actually reapply and do that? Then what happens?
Yeah, and then I got the call. They picked 4 people from the US and 3 from Europe, and I was one of the 4.
Wow. And
I remember this was around May or around April when they called me and told me. And this was the same year I was getting married. And so got married, and I told Adobe, I was like, hey, are you guys able to extend? Are you guys able to allow me to continue teaching until the kids are out. Because it was May and school is about to be out in June. I didn't want to do the kids like that.
Yeah.
Because I've built a strong relationship with a lot of these kids. And and they were fine with it. And of course, I was working 2 jobs, May to June. But when I pitched to them, I was like, okay, I'm going to make posters, merging photography and design, but I'm going to make them in 4 different sectors. So I was like, I'll make posters, regular posters for fun, but then I want to make posters based on sports, posters based on music, and posters based on, I believe, like lifestyle stuff. And so they allowed me to, every 3 months I was switching. And I ended up getting an opportunity to design kind of like a postcard for the San Francisco Warriors when. Oh
wow!
Yeah, when
the NBA team.
Yeah.
It's dang.
Yeah, it was nice. It was. I loved it, and I got to sleep. I got to sit in the Adobe suite, which is really.
What?
And we got to sit down. Floor, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
nice.
they hooked you up. They hooked you up. He said, "I ain't gonna lie."
It was a good partnership. Just doing this with Adobe because I got to really meet the people behind the product, and also Adobe opened up their platform and their resources to me, so I was able to connect with people, and yeah, it was awesome. I love it. I'm still good friends with the person that picked me. Her name is Julia. Shout out to Julia.
Come on, Julia.
Yeah, come on, Julia. And she's still been in our life, in me and my wife's lives, and she's sent gifts to us and our baby boy.
Oh, that's
and,
awesome.
And so it's the residency. I've been able to build lifelong friends from that, and it wasn't just like a thank you for the money, I'm out.
Yeah.
And being able to build a relationship with Adobe. Speaking of, they're actually going to be here next month.
I saw that. I saw you just posted about that.
Yeah.
When's the date? Do you know?
I think it's October 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah, October 2nd.
Okay, we'll see if we'll put it in the description if anybody wants to go. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Man, I love that, man. That's what a journey. And I think what I love is like our pastor said this recently on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. He's like, we can't force a miracle to happen, but we can position ourselves in a place for a miracle. Mm-hmm. And there's certain things of like, this is a God
literally
thing.
Yeah.
But there are things that, like, for example, if you wouldn't have done the challenge of doing a poster a day,
right,
that door might not necessarily open.
Right.
Like, it could happen, but you might not have been positioned. Right. Especially the amount of times, like, especially if you're in the creative field, always you're wanting to like pitch something. They're like, have you done anything similar to this?
Yep.
And if you're like, I want to, but I haven't. Well, it's like, that's what we call spec work. Right. You go out there with your friends, go to a business and say, hey, I'll do this for free.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make some spec work so that when the opportunity comes, you have something that they can go back and see, that I think that's, especially in the creative field. I mean, it can go with any industry, but especially in the creative field, that is so necessary.
Yeah. And I really believe in creating the type of work you want to be hired for. And I feel like that's been my theme for everything. My posters, these jackets, I want to be able to like one day, I don't want to sit down and wait for like, whether it's Gucci or Nike or all these other brands reaching out to me to say, hey, we want to collab. I'm going to put my own money in this. And if they want to work with me, awesome. If they don't, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And we were talking about, because you were giving me some advice on merch stuff too. And like, you just explored. Like, it wasn't like someone taught you. You're just like, all right, I'm just going to go out and do it.
Yeah.
And build. I think there's, because there's supply and demand. Sometimes you just have to like force the demand.
Yeah.
By building some momentum around, all right, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
And then see if the demand's there.
Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, even my first jacket, I think I gave over half of them free to friends and not celebrities. I think celebrities was this one.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and I gave it to people free just to wear.
Yeah.
no strings attached. Post if
Right.
you want,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
post. And it was a risk, but people loved it. Even my sister texted me and she's like, "Hey, I think you need to bring the black jacket back." People are asking me, and she's in Arizona.
Was it like the black and blue?
Yeah, it was the
I
black.
think Jason has that
yeah,
one.
Yeah, Jason has that one.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and I think I want to get that again because that could be like a Coker Studio staple that's always in the shop.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was trial and error. I had a few friends I talked to getting advice. But I think the biggest thing, I treated it like I treat my business.
Yeah,
I think about the numbers. I think about
Right.
how much am I willing to lose if this doesn't do well?
Yeah.
Count the cost.
Absolutely.
And I think some people don't. They think like, oh, I have 1 million followers. I saw someone with 1 million followers that couldn't even sell a t-shirt. She sold
Really?
3. Yeah.
She sold 3 t-shirts?
Sold 3 t-shirts. That was crazy. And I think at that point I was like, oh, if that's what she's doing, then I need to really make sure there's some type of demand for it.
Yeah.
And the reason I did jackets is because I love jackets. People see me wear them I love the fall. Every fall, I bring all my jackets out.
We're just about to hit the fall too. When I tell you, it feels so good.
Yeah, it
you go out,
does.
it's not 150 degrees outside in Texas.
Thank the Lord.
It feels amazing. Yeah. I love that, man. I love it, just the innovation that you have, just to I'm gonna step out. I'm not gonna wait for them to do it. I'm just gonna go.
Yeah.
Because I do think that does attract opportunities.
For sure.
And I think a lot of times, and I think this can help somebody, I think we wait for opportunities where it's like, well, build it and they will come.
Mm-hmm.
Of put out the work, like you said, that you want, and it will come eventually.
Yeah, your gift will make room for you. You just have to continue to be faithful with it, regardless.
Yeah.
Because the stuff I was doing, if I didn't get to where I am right now, I would have kept on going because I never dreamt of where I'm at right now.
Wow.
All I did was I want to make posters. It looks fun. I want to print some out and things like that.
Dude, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, so now transitioning to where your life is now, getting more in the business side. So explain what your business does. How does it bring in revenue, money? What's kind of the mechanics of it, of Coker Studios? Yeah,
so Coker Studio is the LLC, and it's me and my wife. My wife does photography and art direction, and I do graphic design. So even though we have Coker Studio umbrella, individually, my wife and I are still having different clients.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so the work that I do is I design posters and campaigns for brands. I do art direction for them as well. A brand will come to me and say, hey, this is our topic, this is our theme, but we want your style infused in it.
Gotcha.
Can you create something? And so I've worked with Nike, Apple, Google, Adobe, the Oscars, which is my favorite.
No big deal. I don't know if you've heard of these brands. Just little brands.
but
Oscars was your favorite?
I would say it was the one that I did not expect.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't even reply to the email. I thought it was spam.
I would have thought so too.
Yeah. And then I opened it again because they emailed again and it popped back up. And I went down and I saw that it says, creative director at the Academy. Dang. And I called my agent and I was like, I think this is real. And so we hopped on the phone, and of course they've been fans for a while, which is a common theme that I've been seeing, that people will be like, we've been watching your work for the past few years and we're just waiting for the right opportunity. That's literally what he said.
Man.
And so they picked 7 artists, and this was the first time the Academy was ever going to hire designers to redesign their statuette and use elements from it as a template for the Oscars.
Yeah.
And this was in 2021, so we couldn't go.
Yeah.
I had to watch it on TV. That hurt. Man. But it was still cool to see it on TV, see pictures of it on billboards, see the ad that they made for it, which is still on YouTube. But yeah, and that's the kind of work that I do. And then my wife does photography and art direction for brands and portraits for people and things like that.
I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to say this, Jason called me one of the days. He was at where he works next to where your studio is.
Yes.
He said, "Man, this white Rolls Royce just
Oh,
popped up." Are you allowed to say who it was?
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes came to the studio.
And I was like, Patrick Mahomes came to Oak Cliff?
Yeah, he did. And it really was all God. I mean, just like you said, like how things fall into place. The agent that I have now, I got connected to her through a friend because Apple had called me about some campaign, and I was like, I don't know how much to charge. This was back in 2020.
Wow.
And so I called my friend. I was like, Apple wants to license my design. I don't know how much to charge. He's like, let me connect you with my agent. He connected me with her, and then we did a free trial, and she became my agent too. And a few years later, us and her and all the people she reps, we all moved to a agency called Attribute.
Gotcha.
And so Joshua got reached out to by Time Magazine to take photos of Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't live too far from Dallas. He lives
his Texas home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's from here.
Yeah, he's from
that makes
here.
sense. Yeah.
So they were looking for a studio, and Joshua was like, "Oh, Temi has a studio."
Dang.
And then my agent was like, "Yeah, Temi has a studio. So they called me, and of course we had to move some things around for that. But I mean, it was amazing meeting him. He's very chill, and seeing how our studio could handle the capacity of like what this shoot required.
Yeah.
The big backdrops, the lights, the everything. And it was amazing, and I'm thankful for it. So that's the other business that we have. So we have two businesses, Coker Studio and Coker House.
Gotcha.
Coker House houses the TX Studio.
TX Studio,
which is our photography rental studio in Oak Cliff.
Yeah, dude, that's so. What a story, man! From high school teacher.
Yeah, I know. Man, it's God,
and I love that it's obviously all glory goes to Him.
Yeah.
Two things I picked what you said. One, you never know what one step of obedience will do. Mm-hmm. Of you growing up and just having this like feeling of like I think I'm supposed to switch degrees, switch fields. But then the second thing, and I've noticed it in my business, in my life, man, people watch. There are silent watchers.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're not going to say a word. They ain't going to like a post. They ain't going to comment, but they are watching.
Yep.
And, when it talks about, in scripture of, don't even give the appearance of evil, right?
Right.
Like there's so many different times in scriptures where
it alludes to the fact that people are watching. Yeah.
Exactly. Of your witness. Yeah. Right? Of like, don't let another brother stumble based upon your lifestyle of how, not everything that is permissible is beneficial, right?
Right.
All of it is like, people are watching you. Mm-hmm. You are always leading someone. Whether you know it or not, you are leading someone.
Yep.
And I think it's such a profound thought. And I hope people can grasp that what you're doing right now, your next is connected to now.
Right.
How you handle now, how you the treating a client like they're the Oscars client. If you're not Oscars client, like everything you do now, people are watching. Exactly. And I've gotten clients and people are like, man, I've been following your stuff for 2 years. I was just waiting for the right moment. And yet, but if you I think so. We just want it so fast. Yeah. But you have no idea what's next is connected to what's now. Yeah.
That's good.
And I just think that's so incredible with your story. I guess talk to me about how you've been able. And we talk about it a lot on this show. Mm-hmm. I think business is changing as far as Christian entrepreneurship because, and this is my opinion, I think our witness is much more than just slapping the Jesus sticker on our stuff. I think it's our work. Yeah. Like our work gives glory to God, right? Like Solomon, they put, I forget how many billions like in our today's currency in the temple. It gave God glory, right? It was God that instructed it. I think our greatest witness is our work and how we work. Yeah. How have you found you've been able to be a witness for the Lord in your work and what you're doing on an everyday basis?
Yeah, I think, my pastor told me once, he was like, Temi, you designing is an act of worship. And that really changed a lot for me because, I know that God has given me this gift and these skills, and using it is an act of worship. And I think that when it comes to just being a believer in the entrepreneur space, I think the moments of relying on God in your business has been really big for us.
Yeah.
But also you talking about like being a witness. Yeah, I think, I think that a lot of people feel like you have to have Jesus tattooed on your neck, or like your logo needs to have a cross. You know what I'm saying? I think being faithful with the gift that God has given you, because you think about people that say like don't the people that talk about like don't go to therapy, don't go to therapists. It's like God created those people, gave them that gift.
Absolutely.
And they're using that gift to help. Yeah. And I think that the blessing and the witness can be in the helping of other people and other businesses.
Absolutely.
And so even for me, being able to give back or talk to kids about my story, my journey, I've been able to still show God in that process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my business and what I'm doing has opened so many doors that, now I can go to like different events and still speak about how God has really been, like when I think about my story, like God is the hero, not me. And so being able to get on stage and speak at these different events and still be able to point back to the person that I know and that's given me this gift and can take it away at any time.
Absolutely.
I think that has been a blessing for me.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
I had a thought recently that I put on my Instagram of that you can't want a miracle and want the credit. You can't want to give God glory and still want to reserve it for yourself. Like glory in scripture is literally like, I believe it's Hebrew or Greek. It's one of them. It's kavod, right? So it's like it's weight. It literally means weight. So like when we say like give God the glory, we're literally saying give him weight. Give him that, that like literally what weighs on you. Like we weren't designed to carry it. Give it to him. And I think we do get to do it through our work. Is we're it's like, hey, yes, God used me. Right. We're not being false, humble or anything like that. But it's like, no, it's him. I'm not going to take credit for what I didn't do. Yeah. I didn't give myself the ability. I didn't give myself. You don't give yourself the talent. You don't give yourself the open doors. All you can do is steward it and just give it back.
Someone asked me today. They were like, "Do you see yourself? Did you ever see yourself getting to this point?" And I'm like, no, I didn't even dream this big. My dreams were smaller than this, And he knew me, when I was in college. And so he was like, bro, like, God is really good, And I thought about, like, the thoughts I had when I was in college of what a successful career would look like. And it was like, I'll take pictures of people. And that was it. Wow. Not even design wasn't there, making merch wasn't there, art directing campaigns wasn't even in the picture. So you just got to be faithful with your gift and trust God in the process.
Man, that's so good, man. I got two more questions for you. Yeah. One, you recently became a dad.
Yes.
Right, and I love seeing pictures of your son, and what's his name?
Josiah with a Z.
Oh, with a Z. Oh, I love that, man. And just seeing you entering into that space. How is it? Because you do a lot, right? You have two companies. How has that changed your priorities, your pace in business? Has it even changed how you do business so that you can be more present? I'm just curious what fatherhood has done for you as a business owner. Yeah,
it's made me compartmentalize my time even more. Like today, I stayed home with him because yesterday we had a big shoot at the studio. and I had to be there for almost 10 hours.
My gosh.
So I wasn't home. So I was like, babe, go to the office, go do your work. I'll stay home with him. So I did today. But yeah, it's teaching me to like slow down. But I think the most important thing I'm learning is just like how to view the world from a child's lens. Because he's gone to the stage now. He's almost 4 months and he's noticing art.
Wow.
We have a big art piece in the house, and every time we pass by it, he just always like stops, like turns his head and looks, and then I stop in front of it and he's smiling.
Wow.
And so we go to, and I was like, okay, maybe it's just a gimmick. Went to another art piece in our house and he was smiling, and I was like, okay, so he likes color. He's seeing color. And so yeah, I've just learned to kind of slow down, but also understand like he's the boss now. You know what I'm saying? We have a new boss.
When he goes to sleep.
When he goes to sleep. Yeah. But it's funny because when he goes to sleep, I've been like, okay, I have like, you go to sleep around 9 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, we have like 2 hours. What can we get accomplished? And sometimes we get some stuff done, but sometimes I'm like, man, I need to go to sleep with him.
You whoop me up.
Because it don't matter. I mean, it does not matter if we sleep at 12. He's still gonna wake up at 6. So you might as well sleep at 9. Get you the extra 3 hours.
Exactly.
But I will say that apart from compartmentalizing my time and just taking things slow, I think another thing that I'm learning is just how important it is to give myself grace in this season. Because me being a very like A-type personality, let's get this done. These are the time blocks. I need to do this and this and this. And running 2 businesses, I was always just on the go. Now, what would have taken me one day is taking me a week. What would have taken me 2 days is taking me almost a month.
Wow.
And these are like big business things that normally I would just do. So I've just learned to like do things little by little, a little bit every day. And now, before this, I used to have 3 things on my to-do list. And once I finished those 3 things, I felt accomplished. Now, if I do one thing, I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
I'm good. Everything else is extra credit.
Exactly.
Oh, I completed 3 today. Dang, that's the extra credit. Wow. But I look at my to-dos and I'm like, what is the most important thing I need to complete today? And once that's completed, I can take a breather. But yeah, just learning to give myself grace in this process and understanding like, hey, this is a big deal. Our lives have changed.
Right.
We now have a new normal. And we have to learn to work around that. So
because you don't take a break from being a dad.
No.
There is no part.
I told my wife a few days ago, I was like, man, I remember when we would go out, like we went out to eat and we came back home and we still had to entertain our son. And I was like, man, I remember when you eat and you just come back home and you go to sleep.
That's it.
We couldn't do that. We just had to look or take turns, or she go to sleep and I'm watching him. And it's fun. This, like, I'm not complaining or anything, but like, it's still the reality of things. Of like, things has changed. And we have to navigate this new normal. But I would say like my friends always tell me, once you have a son or a daughter, like the fire that lights underneath you to just be like productive, especially as an entrepreneur. It's crazy. Like this jacket is because of him, because I wanted to quit. I didn't want to finish it. It was taking too long. And I look at him and I'm like, man, I want to create a capsule of items that he can wear later on.
Wow.
Or even, I'm hoping that I can get into like baby clothing.
Okay. Let's go.
I want him to look fly. So I'm
why
like,
not?
Why not? Let me make my own son his own jacket.
You can.
Maybe I'll make a baby one of this. I don't know, but
makes sense to me.
But that's something, and he's helping me come up with these ideas. From the times that I'm just sitting down watching him or just playing with them. So
I love it. It's funny when I got started in business. I was about 20, about to turn 21. The advice I always got was like, listen, like, do it now, because when you get family, kids, it's going to be harder, which there's obviously there's truth to that. But I don't know. The guys I see that married, have families, they are way more productive because their hours mean more.
Yeah.
So there is no, wasting an hour of time is way more expensive.
Yep.
Than someone who's single is it's just another hour. I just tag on.
Absolutely. I've heard people say that too, but once you're in it, I texted my friend Joshua. I was like, wow, I see why we haven't been able to talk as much. You know what I'm saying? He has 2 kids, and he always told me, he was like, bro, I'm sorry we haven't been able to catch up.
Yeah.
It's just a lot, and now I understand.
Yeah.
There was grace. I understood. I always told him, I was like, bro, I understand.
Yeah.
But now I understand.
No, it's like, no, I get it. Yeah.
My friend texted me on, I think he texted me on Saturday, and I haven't texted back. And I was thinking about it today. I'm like, dang. So this is what it's like.
Yeah. No, I've had to give my friends grace. They get married, they have kids. I'm just like, you got to adjust. It's all good.
Yep.
Man, last thing here. This has been so good.
Thank you.
And I love talking about fatherhood and incorporating family because, again, for me, and I've said it multiple times, the win for me with this platform, with Faith Hustle, is not just the immediate helping people to be able to make money, give glory to God, do it God's way. Obviously, that's part of it. Yeah. My goal is someone who's 20, 21 years old now watching it, when they're 45, when they're 50, they're still married. Mm-hmm. Their kids love them, and they still love Jesus. Yeah. That's the win for me that I'm aiming for. And so part of the conversations is we can't just talk about business and crushing it in this. Obviously, people are going to get inspired by this conversation, but we have to talk about, no, this is just as important. Yeah. And it's not either or. That's why Faith Hustle, I made it with 1 H, not 2. It's that I'm trying to show there's no separation between faith and hustle. Yeah. In God's eyes, it's all the same. It's the same thing of I don't believe that business ethics is a thing. Yeah. You either have ethics or you don't. Right. You know what I mean? And in the same way of you can be a great dad, a great husband, and a great entrepreneur. It is not either or. Yeah. But anyways, last question, man. What would be your advice? Any young person wanting to get into business, or obviously, maybe specifically in the creative space, what would be your wisdom to them? They feel that urge that it's in them. They want to step out and go. What's the number one thing you tell them? Yeah. So my mentor told me something that stuck with me, and probably will stick with me for the rest of my life. Maybe I should get it tattooed on my body. I don't know. You should. But it says, the journey is the reward, not the destination. Ooh. Right? Say that again. So it says the journey is the reward, not the destination. And what's so important about that and so special is that when you're in a journey, you're focused on the journey. There's going to be valleys, there's going to be peaks and valleys. And if you're so focused on the destination, you're going to be frustrated with the journey. Yeah. How many miles do I have left? Yep. But what's so beautiful about this journey that I've been on is that at every part that I would have considered a destination, it's just part of the journey. Wow. And part of the journey for me has also been acknowledging that there will be highs and there will be lows. Yeah. And it's a journey is never like this. Right. It's always like this. Right. And so when I think about how I started, the first time I shot a wedding and I charged $100. I get it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I did pictures and video. Yeah. And then I went into after. I'm so mad about that. But if I look back at myself, I'm like, why would you do that? But again, it's part of the journey. Absolutely. But yeah, the journey is the reward, not the destination. I think a lot of people see where they want to get to, and they never really look around and see where they're at. Wow. And now they're getting frustrated about how fast or how slow this journey is going. Wow. Right. And the thing about putting the destination as your forefront is that once you get there, you might not actually be happy. Yeah. And once you get there, there's going to be something else that you want. Yeah. And it's the reason why you have people that are billionaires who are still putting in money and buying more businesses. Yeah. And so
that has just been my focus, and I just have to be fine with this journey. You know, even doing all this merch, it's a journey. I don't know where it's going to lead.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm being obedient.
I think shoes. You should do shoes.
People have said that.
I really think, I was sitting here, I was like, shoes would be fire. Something like this and shoes, come on.
Look, I want to do something. I want to do a shoe with Nike. If you're listening.
Come on, Nike. You hearing this?
If you're listening, I'm available. Let's make it happen.
Call his
Call
agent.
my line. But yeah, I don't know where this is going. I made a pillow. I don't know where that is going.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of the journey.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've made it. It's out there. Whoever sees it and people like it, awesome. If they don't, at least I have done something.
Yeah.
And I've learned from it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Man.
that would be the biggest advice. Like I found myself thinking too much about the destination that I never enjoyed the journey.
Absolutely.
You know.
And because there's so many things along the journey that are difficult.
Yeah.
And listen, everybody likes a payoff.
Right.
Right. So you want to get to maybe it's the goal weight or whatever it may be, but it's like, yeah, I heard it said recently, which was a shocker to me, that like Olympic medalists, they hit a crazy depression right after they win.
Yep.
Or even people in the NFL, they'll win a Super Bowl and the next day
it's like, what now?
What now?
Yep.
I worked all these years.
Yep.
I got the medal. I'm looking at it, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And I don't let me preach for too long, but I have had a thought in my head over the past like few months of I don't know if you remember the I want to say it's the Road to Emmaus, where Jesus was walking beside these men. You know, the few times he revealed himself in Scripture to people in the Bible. And they're saying, you know, they're talking about Jesus. Like, man, I heard that, you know, his body's gone, and like they're just in sadness, and they don't know it's Jesus, and Jesus is like they're on a road, like they have a destination.
Yeah.
And Jesus is walking beside them, and he's like, no, I know who you're talking about. He's alive. Da, da, da. You know, he's having this conversation, and they're talking with him the whole way. They get to where they need to go. They get to the house. And their eyes open. He breaks bread. Their eyes open. Oh my gosh, it's Jesus! And then he like vanishes.
Right.
What I love, there was a part in there I read that I never read before, and it said, "Did our hearts not burn when he was speaking to us on the road?"
Wow.
And I'm paraphrasing, but like, they got to the destination. They could only think about the journey. They had got to where they wanted. The first thing they thought of was like how he walked with me,
right? How
he walked and talked with us throughout the entire time. And I think for our lives, and this is a good ending place of in our businesses, wherever God's called you to, like you said, I think so many times, and I get it, we want to get out of the situations we're in. We want to get to that next place, whatever that is. But the miracle is in the walk.
Yeah.
It's in the learnings. It's in the, hey, I've been doing just photography. I'm going to combine it with design. I've just been doing design in this. I'm going to do merch.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just going to enjoy this walk with God, trusting him, leaning on him. And that's actually where the fulfillment lies.
Yeah. And the way I feel about even moving to merch is the same way I felt when I decided to focus on photography and graphic design together. So, and then also a lot of things that people don't want to hear is that I switched my major from biomedical engineering to digital media in 2011, but I really didn't get like my big break until 2018 with Adobe, 7 years.
Wow.
Right. And then I really didn't get like my other really big break till 2020 when I finally got an agent, and that was one of my best years ever. Right. You know, and so people are always looking for overnight success, but like imagine 7 years of just head down, working, and then one day someone taps you on your shoulder that says, "I see you. Yeah. Let's go get it."
Wow.
You know, so
no, 100%, man. It's so good. Yeah. I think so much wisdom's been in this. If you're in the creative field, a designer, I think this has been some gems that can help people along their journey. So, man,
sure.
Thank you for being on here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Like
I said, I was so pumped when I saw it. I had to bring the jacket out.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And make sure I'll link your merch stuff below.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even just your website, anything that you got going on.
For sure.
Heck, by the time this comes up, maybe you have something new coming up. But,
right.
But thank you so much for being here, man.
Of course. Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of the Faith Hustle podcast. We hope you were encouraged, inspired, and feel equipped to walk out your faith hustle. If you want to come on this journey with us in growing in our business and faith, I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on audio platforms like Apple or Spotify or YouTube. We would love to take this journey with you, and we can't wait to see what God does in your business. We look forward to seeing you soon.